everyone. Welcome to the live cast. Why start a family history blog? I'm Coach Carole. Hello and welcome to this live cast on why start a family history blog. I'm Coach Carole. I'm a very keen family historian for my own family ancestors and a very keen and essential genealogist for others. If you're looking for more information about me, please go and visit my site at coachcaroleonline.com. And if you're looking for courses, I have some of those too at my Preserving Family History Academy. I'll post the link below. Today I wanted to take a few minutes of your time to discuss why you may want to start a family history blog. Now, I've been writing blogs for many years, and I have many friends who do the same. I learn a lot from other blogs, from genealogists and family historians who write about their families in different ways. The one main reason for me in writing my family history as blog posts is to preserve my family history and to share it with others, including family, in short story format. I do my research, I find out what the intriguing issues are around that ancestor, and I compose a blog post. I use WordPress from my blogging, and of course there are many other blog platforms that you could choose. So having a look at that number one reason for preserving the family history, I wanted to dig a little deeper for you. I do love the planning and plotting about my clans and their lives when I'm doing my research. And as soon as I find something intriguing about them, I'm immediately thinking about how these revelations will make good reading for my family members. I'm leaving a legacy. And that, for me, drives me forward in creating these stories that I can share in my blog posts one by one. The legacy will span the lifetime of many of my ancestors, so I choose them one by one and write their stories individually so that my readers can keep up to date with the family history in just a few minutes of reading. We're all time poor these days. So having short stories in blog posts is an ideal motivation for the family members to come and read. I could have done scrapbooks. I could do family history photo albums or digital stories, memory cards, or maybe family history books. Some of these may appeal to you as alternative methods of doing genealogy. But for me, I love the thrill of writing and sharing the short stories of my ancestors in my blog posts. And I illustrate these with maps, photos, documents, and any artifacts that I've discovered. So how do you do family history blogging? Where to get started? Of course, you may like to do my free course called Blogging in the Past Lane. That's a play on words that has a hidden meaning. I'll come back to that in a little while. Let me just step you through 5 simple steps on doing your family history blogging. I recently posted on my site these 5 simple steps, and I've put them under the heading of who, what, where, when, and why. These are traditional story prompters. The who can scope the story of one ancestor. So choose someone from your clan and look at the details of that ancestor and ask a question. Why? Why do you want to tell this story? Then look at the what. to create the intrigue. Maybe there's evidence that you've recently uncovered from an artifact. Maybe it's a family secret kept for hundreds of years. Or maybe it's something simple like the actual cause and place of death. Or maybe it's medals recently discovered for your military ancestor. That last piece of evidence may well become the central part of a story that you could document. Then you'll set the scene. Where? Where did all this take place? So if your ancestor is a soldier, you can colour in the details about his or her experience in World War I, World War II, or other military experiences. So dig deeper into the sites or events of interest around the locations. Find a map, or maybe there's an attestation document where you can see details of your ancestor when they enlisted in the Army, the Navy, or the Air Force. Then drill down to the specifics. Check the dates. When did all this happen? Are you writing a story about the entire experience of the ancestor during the war, or just one element of it? In one of my stories, I was telling about the reason why I was intrigued with the short life of one of my great uncles. And I had always thought that he must have died in the war. But on finding his death certificate, I found that that wasn't the case. So if you want to find out more about that, you can visit my other website, Writing in Progress, and you'll find that at genealogystoriesonline.blog. I'll include that link below as well. Then look closely at the why. Why are you creating this story to remember the ancestor? My recent stories are focused around a theme of forgotten family members. And so this story of my great uncle is one of those. I didn't have much to go on to tell his story, as his life was short. But by asking those pertinent questions and then finding the answer in my research gave me the start of that story. Perhaps this is true of one of your ancestors. Perhaps you need to go and dig a little deeper. Now maybe at this stage you're thinking, well, I haven't even got a blog yet. How am I going to get started? Well, there are ways to do that, and my course on blogging in the past lane will help you with that. Many of you may have already started blogging your family history. Maybe you're stuck at this stage. Maybe you're not sure where to go next. And in another blog post of mine, I started thinking about how you could use some strategies to get unstuck, to streamline your family history blogging. And in that post, I talk about, first of all, having a time-based blogging goal. Now, what does that mean? Well, it simply means that you're planning ahead and being methodical, making sure that your goal is achievable and that you're not overstressing yourself to try and do a blog post every day or even a week. Cut it down. Chunk your family history blogging tasks into doable sessions. So choosing a measurable goal for that. So the next thing you might want to do is to choose a set of topic or titles for the blog posts. Now I recently did that when I was looking for ways to create my blog posts in my website to help others with their posting of blogs about their ancestors. And I went to a place where I could get blog title generators, and you can do that on Google and put in your topic and you'll come up with hundreds of titles that you could use. And these were just enough to get me started on some of my blog posts. So you'll get topical post titles that will engage your readers. Then you may want to share or store those into a repository, like a spreadsheet, a simple one, or I use a Trello board, which is an online planning tool. Have a look at Trello.com, I think you'll enjoy it. And then create a set of thumbnails to illustrate the blog posts. Have a bit of fun with that. I use Canva, so go to canva.com for that. And most importantly, you may wish to share your journey with others. I found it very useful to be working alongside a group of people doing the similar things, that is, writing blogs and being methodical about that, in a social learning group. So you may have groups on Facebook that you could join in with. Certainly in one of mine, in Digital Storytelling Online, you could share your progress in writing your blogs. There's nothing like having others come back and give you support or encouragement. So a social learning group really is a great way to get unstuck in streamlining your family history blogging. And then the next little tip for streamlining is to have a story outline. For your ancestral story, you'll need to have some elements of intrigue, some interesting facts, some data, and some photos. So you need to plan that. So have a story outline. You could do that in Word, or you can do it on your Trello board. I do that with mine, and I gather the data, the images, and create the storyline. And then I feel that I'm ready to flesh that out into a better story. I recently interviewed the creative family historian, another Australian genealogist, Prudence Dwyer, and in my interview of her, I asked the question about how she helps others to outline their stories. So I do encourage you to go to my website and find that blog on streamlining your family history blogging, where I have a link to that podcast with Prudence. So three simple tips for streamlining your family history blogging were time-based blogging goal, being in a social learning group, and preparing your ancestral story outlines. You can have a lot of fun with all of those. Now, talking about my own blog where I create my stories, let me share that with you. And I can share my screen so that you can see where I keep my stories. And bear with me if I find the way in which I can share the screen with you. Okay, maybe not in this particular live cast, but what you would be looking for is going to my Stories of Significant Others. So just go to your browser and type in genealogystoriesonline.blog and scroll down to find the latest one about why did George Samuel Ellery die so young. You'll find others there, and I'm sure you'll be interested in reading about my family history. Gives you an idea about how to write your own. Now, coming back to the courses, if you want to do a free course in my academy, Blogging in the Past Lane will help you plan your blog post titles and content, research the content for your story, draft the post in Word or directly into your blog, adding feature images, photos, maps, etc. to illustrate the content, how to edit and schedule your post for publication, then how to actually publish your post, and perhaps send it to many places simultaneously, and then share your post via email or on social media. I do hope that you've enjoyed this live cast on why start a family history blog. I'll be back with others later, but for now, leave a comment below or visit my websites that I've given you in the links below. Thanks for being with me today. That's all for now.